Hey everybody, as we enter the holiday season here, we're asking our listeners to gift us with very special ratings and reviews on iTunes and any podcatching service you use. You know, there's nothing better than giving gifts during the holiday season, and there's no other gift we would like more than to hear your guys' thoughts on our show. So just leave us a review and rating on your favorite podcatching service, and our gift to you will be reading out our favorite reviews, which will most likely be 5-star reviews, but you know, we have our standards. So thank you guys for listening, and we look forward to all the wonderful gifts. Hello and welcome to the Critical Breakdown, the podcast where we start at the bottom of Rotten Tomatoes and we work our way up to 100% fresh. I'm Max.
And I'm Scott, and today we're talking Big Fish.
Big Fish.
Yeah, I think it's one of both of our favorites.
Yeah, this is a good movie. There's no other way around it. It's just solid filmmaking. It's my favorite, and this is one of the reasons we picked it. It's my favorite Tim Burton movie. I'm guessing it's yours.
Yeah, easily.
And it's actually just a favorite film of mine, and it's kind of grown on me over the years even more. So
yeah, it's just a good movie.
Yeah.
We'll get to it,
I don't know if I'll ever do a top 10 list, but it would be a contender. I'll say that.
I'm pretty sure you won't.
Yeah.
I've tried to get you to do them.
This is just a sidebar.
You've warmed up to them a bit.
I've warmed up to small, like inconsequential list, basically. Like very specific genres.
They're all inconsequential.
But I've actually seen some other people on Twitter who are like in the film community kind of, who are very reluctant to do top lists. And it makes me laugh because it's almost like there's two types of people, that whole phrase, like those who like doing the top lists and
those
everyone else. Yeah. So no, and I get why it works for some people, but it's, for me to be so definitive on something is very difficult when it comes to like subjective art. So
that's the thing to me. It's like, it's not like a definitive.
Yeah.
It's just like to make discussion.
Now I feel more open.
Gonna be like, but you said this was your number one. How dare you?
I feel more open to like an annual top 5 like of the year. That works for me. I can do stuff like that.
Do that every year.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And hey, Big Fish, speaking of lists of a sort, Big Fish is our first movie that was in our March Movie Madness bracket. It was the 15 seed in the 2000s.
How'd it do?
Well, it lost to The Dark Knight in the first round, which, you know, I get.
It's kind of funny that a Tim Burton film would be defeated by another man's Batman film.
Yeah.
So, what you been watching, Scott?
I watched a classic that I had been avoiding for weird reasons. I watched Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked Alien. I saw it last year for the first time, and I really liked it. And I've always in my head grouped it like this. Like, Terminator is to Alien as Terminator 2 is to Aliens. And I still see that in a way, but it wasn't a good reason to avoid Aliens.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like the bombastic action films and stuff. But Aliens is a lot more reserved than I thought it was going to be.
It's an action horror sci-fi. Not just a horror sci-fi, but there are definitely strong horror elements, but the action is there. Yeah. But I think it's definitely an emotional sequel. It works it works well with the character. Yeah. And the whole like PTSD angle with Ripley is very good in it, and her overcoming that.
I did feel like it wasn't so much she overcame it as they just dropped it like halfway through.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like towards the end that she was like battling those thoughts and stuff, but
yeah, I think by overcome it, I guess I just mean like the reluctance to go back. Yeah, like she knows these people are gonna die if she's not there. Yeah. So I just like seeing her like lean in on it. But,
yeah, it was a cool turn for the character, and I liked all the supporting characters. Like Bill Paxton was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Paul Reiser was amazing in it.
Yeah.
Like his character's so smarmy. And
do you see why every time like his name comes up, I'm like, that bastard?
Yeah, I see it.
Still because of Aliens.
Well, it's funny because I mean he was very prolific in the like 80s and 90s, and then you didn't see him that much. And the first thing I ever saw him in was Whiplash. He played Miles Teller's character's father, a very very small role. Yeah. And so then when I saw him in Stranger Things, I was like, oh yeah, that's the dad from Whiplash. And
I'm here like that bastard. Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't even think you saw Whiplash.
Spoiler alert for Stranger Things. I really loved his character.
Oh, he was great in
Stranger Things. And I liked that they parallel some of Aliens at first, where he seems like he's an a-hole who's playing them, and then in the end he was a sincere character. Yeah. And I think it was great to do that with Paul
It was
Reiser.
a cool little twist on it.
So,
Though I think every new character that they introduced in Stranger Things season 2, you thought was going to be the fucking worst. Like, I thought Sean Astin's character was going to turn out to be a huge villain, and he ended up being amazing.
Yeah, like best new character they introduced for sure. And then I know a lot of people are torn on this, but I actually love the character of Billy.
That
who
was
is the brother, the bully brother.
Decker Montgomery, is that the actor's name?
Yeah.
Dacre?
A name I can't pronounce. It's something like that.
It's spelled Acre with a D in front of it. Maybe it's Dacre.
Yeah,
it's not.
I'm cool with Dacre.
I didn't really care for his character, but I just felt like they didn't really use it.
I liked just the two sides of him, basically, where he was an abusive prick, but also that's because he was kind of perpetuating what was done to him.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll dig in.
He's not like a good person that I enjoy, but I liked the performance and the character, and I hope he comes back as something more interesting. But
this is not a Stranger Things episode, though.
We'll always spend a couple minutes, but no, Aliens. I really enjoy Aliens.
It's good.
I still feel one day you should revisit T2, Terminator 2, with fresh eyes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I will.
I'll never force it on you, but I just feel like it.
Whenever I tell people I didn't like Terminator 2, everyone's like, "Oh, well, you got to watch it again." And I think I've watched it like 5 times now. So
when was the most recent time?
Like 3 or 4 years ago.
That's fair.
Like I was an adult. I understood movies.
That's
fair. But maybe I will.
I would never say you don't understand movies, just for the record, even when you're young.
When I was young, I would say I didn't.
But that's for you to say.
Aliens. I like Alien a lot better. I like the idea of the like total restriction of what the alien creature is, what the xenomorph is. That mystery was a lot more compelling to me. And here they still have it a little bit, but it's definitely. Like, for me, it was a less is more kind of thing with Alien. Yeah. But I still liked Aliens. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
The first 45 minutes is very dry. And I liked it still.
It's character building, and it's not exciting.
Yeah, it's not exciting.
Did you watch theatrical cut or the extended cut?
Theatrical. Yeah.
Okay. The extended cut adds even more to it, and some of it works.
I was watching it with my mother. She was in town this week.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I asked her what we should watch, and she said the theatrical, but she probably didn't know if there was. Yeah. Sometimes an extended cut isn't even worth watching. It doesn't really help.
I think this extended cut, the only thing I remember fully is it added more details on what happened to Ripley's family, her daughter that she left behind.
Okay.
So, and I'll just tell you, her daughter grew up, and they mention it in the movie. I think that her daughter's passed on, or she's older than her.
Well, wasn't it like
I don't
60
remember.
years or something?
Yeah, so her
7 years or something.
Her like little daughter is now like an old woman, and it's either she sees a video of her, a picture of her, or they meet her. I don't remember, but it's just a scene like that.
Sure,
is the one thing that sticks out in my head. Yeah. So it just kind of adds to the Newt relationship, but it's not.
Yeah, I can see that.
It doesn't like change the film substantially.
Right.
There is also Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, I'm curious about Alien 3 just because I know it's David Fincher. It was his first movie. Yeah. I know it's pretty widely panned.
There's moments I like in it. I don't like the film as a whole.
Is that one where, have you seen like the extended? I've heard the director's cut's really good.
Yeah, I've seen both. And the director's cut is better. Yeah. That film as a whole doesn't do anything for me. I personally like Resurrection more because it's cheesy.
Yeah.
And it's like Joss Whedon written and directed by... I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he directed Amelie. So he's a fun director. And there's moments that are like just stupid, cheesy fun in it, but it's not good.
Yeah.
But both of them are kind of not good to me. So, and there's a lot of performances and moments I like in Alien 3. Yeah. But as a whole, like I said, just doesn't work for me. So
I did think it was fun after seeing Starship Troopers. Like the opening scene with the Space Marines and aliens was just so... over the top, and it was on purpose. I know, but it's just kind of funny with Starship Troopers in my head too. It's just like wow, but there's a lot of good character actors amongst those Space Marines, like
Michael Biehn.
But he was one of the bigger ones, like one of the background guys. Played one of the like key characters in Shawshank Redemption. So it was just kind of cool to see those things. It was fine. It was good.
And also the Latina, I can't remember her name.
Like Chavez, I think.
Yeah. She's like the hard ass. I like her whole arc and how she goes with the new guy with the grenade in the end. But I like that storyline. But also she's a big 80s action actor. I think she played John Connor's stepmother in Terminator 2, and she was also in Lethal Weapon 2 as a cop. She was just always like that tough lady.
Chick.
Yeah. So no, that's I'm glad you watched it. I'm glad we had a little talk about it.
What about you? You seen any movies?
Actually I just watched Thor Ragnarok finally.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Well, I liked it, man. I can't lie. I enjoyed it more than some Marvel movies for sure. It's about on par with Guardians 2 for me, where I really enjoyed Guardians. There's some moments that were just like, meh, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a second act slog in that one. And this one, I didn't have like a slog or anything or like a lull. It was just a slow beginning once they did the fun action opening. But it was just like, okay, it's not moving super fast, but it was fun because I really enjoy Taika Waititi. And there's parts of it that are just fully him and his work shoved into a Marvel movie. And
like
so
his rock character, I forget his name.
I want him to become it's Korg.
Korg
And Meek. I want them to join the Guardians.
Yeah. Well, Meek died, didn't he?
But at the end, he's
that's right.
He's like, spoiler alert, guys.
Here'd be spoilers.
And this inconsequential character, he's an insect. He just comes, he's an insect and he has knives for hands. And the whole time he's just there doing like silly stuff. And then this rock character is carrying him. He's dead, is what he says. He's like, yeah, this is him. I crushed him earlier. I just feel bad. And then he wakes up again.
Yeah.
It's a dumb
it's
Waititi joke, perfectly
good.
executed. So, but no, all the humor for me actually worked in this one. I've
How
always
about
been
Matt
very
Damon
critical.
And Liam Hemsworth and Sam Neill.
Yeah. Sam Neill threw me for a spin, but he's worked with Waititi before and stuff. So,
in Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I tried watching it, and I got like 20 minutes in, it just did not grab me. I need to give it another go. But,
I loved that one.
I know you did. That's why I figure I got to give it another shot.
Yeah, there's some movies that Waititi does where they're just kind of slow moving and funny. And like Boy was a lot slower, one of his other films. I mean,
What We Do in the Shadows is pretty slow. Like it's not like a fast pace.
So you just watch it for that really good humor. Yeah. And he really has command of jokes. There's, for me overall, like I said, the humor worked in this one better than it does in, like Civil War. The humor was funny, but some of it was just out of place for me. And banter is very much where it's at. There's a lot of situational comedy. Banner saying like just watch and then slamming into the Rainbow Bridge.
That was amazing.
Was hilarious. And the fact that he just comes in as Hulk after, like they don't show the transfer, it just happens. It works. Stuff like that just really worked. And it was fun to see kind of a change of pace for the Thor franchise where it's not as like the first one's simple enough, and I do enjoy the first film. It's not. I've watched it maybe once, maybe twice.
And if I ever saw it again, sure, but I'm not going to seek it out.
And there's the integration with the greater Marvel universe as a whole worked for me here too.
I thought it's pretty light on
Doctor Strange, which I still haven't seen, but his inclusion didn't take me out. It worked pretty well where he's like, oh, they have wizards on Midgard now.
Yeah.
Like that works. Like the way it all flowed together, I thought was well done.
Right.
I'm a huge Cate Blanchett fan.
Yeah.
I've had a crush on her since Fellowship, and this just furthered my crush. I loved seeing evil Cate Blanchett. I
wish her character had a little more to do. But.
Yeah, I was really hoping for a more in-depth Marvel villain, but as far as superhero movie villains go, she's, a B.
Yeah,
like,
she's introduced, and then most of the plot doesn't involve her, and then they come back.
She at least has a compelling enough backstory for a Thor movie.
Sure, yeah.
That's the best I could say. Loki, I think, in the original couple appearances, still their best villain to date, with the inclusion of the Vulture. So Spider-Man.
I think Vulture might be the best, but Loki now, I'm just like, I don't know.
I do like good Loki, but it's obvious from the.
I like good Loki, but I don't like that they keep teasing the back and forth, you know. And then the Infinity War trailer dropped. We could talk about that, and it looks epic.
It looks pretty sweet.
It's a lot. After
seeing Thor, I'm more in on the trailer, but it's just kind of like I'm let down like a lot of people with how Thanos just kind of looks like a dude.
I kind of liked it though, but I really like Josh Brolin, and I loved his voice. His voice was great for it, but he kind of just without his helmet, he doesn't look imposing to me. He looks like a mixture of Bruce Willis, Homer Simpson, and the dude from the Pawn Shop TV show. Oh yeah.
Like if you combine all three of those, he kind of looks like that.
Looks like a grape.
Yeah, like a grape version of those guys.
But I think if you put him next to someone, I imagine he's really big.
Yeah, he's big. So, I'm sure he'll suit up and battle up. I mean,
of course he will. Maybe by the end of the first movie here.
I've heard he's more of a philosopher at this point than just a warlord. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
But no, it looks cool, man.
The only thing I'm worried about is it looks like there's a lot of these huge CGI armies. And that's always just uncompelling because it's unthreatening and stuff. And
and I really hope. I hope this one and the next one, which apparently isn't going to be Infinity War Part 2. It's going to be a separate Avengers film.
It's all part of the same storyline, but
Yeah.
it's not just going to be called Infinity War Part 1 or Infinity War Part 2.
My guess is actually this comic series called Secret Invasion will come into play with Captain Marvel coming in.
Okay.
That involves Skrulls. It's this whole other thing.
Someone was telling me about that, but I heard that was more of like a Phase 4 or whatever kind of thing.
But I feel like
less with the Infinity War.
The next one might like end off and lead towards that kind of storyline.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to place a bet on that, but just my instincts.
It's kind of interesting. Josh Brolin's playing multiple characters in Marvel.
I guess because it's 2 Marvel properties, but only one's MCU.
And they're separate, yeah.
It'll be interesting if the Fox acquisition does happen with Disney.
Yeah.
Then that might be even weirder.
It's really hard to picture Disney making a Deadpool movie, so
yeah, I kind of hope they don't get Fox, but
Monopoly's bad for
totally.
So,
I'd be cool with like Fox selling their Marvel properties back more so than than Disney getting all of it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So if you're out there, Disney, listening, just don't do it.
Just don't do it, guys.
Come on, Walt.
Walt, like the third by now, I guess.
Yeah.
There's
W3.
Line of Succession. I don't know why I'm saying that.
The Line of Succession.
For the Magic Kingdom.
You been watching anything else?
I have watched some more of halt and Catch Fire. Very good TV show. I recommend it to people.
Yeah.
I can't go much more on it.
You've been watching it for like 3 years now. I feel like.
The first season was kind of a hard watch because I get really stressed out watching the show. It's literally about people buying and selling like in the computer industry and creating computers.
Yeah.
It shouldn't stress me out. It really stresses me out. So I've had to like pace myself, but we're in probably like mid season 2 now, and it's easier to watch. It's less stressful. They've also kind of switched perspectives from 2 male characters with kind of like a couple female characters in there to more focus on the female characters, with the male characters as like
you had said that the last blurb you gave about *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Honestly, the female characters are way more sympathetic and just they're all great actors and stuff, but like they're just I enjoy their stories more as a whole, so that's been kind of fun.
Cool.
So
right on.
Yeah, but watch it. Everybody watch it. I think it's done now. They should have the final season up soon.
Okay. Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Right on.
So it's a good show.
Cool,
what about you? Anything else?
Yeah, but nothing I want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Big Fish.
That is a perfect segue right there.
Yes. Max, what's the plot synopsis for Big Fish?
A frustrated son tries to determine the fact from fiction in his dying father's life.
Oh, yeah. That's a good, really
concise
synopsis, yeah. And what I like about it is it kind of focuses on the, the outer story of it. Because it's sort of a nested story, but it's like bigger than that.
Yeah.
The way I compare it to The Princess Bride, where it's somebody telling stories basically, but in this one, the storytelling side of it is a lot more interesting. It's like the best part of the movie, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And the emotional resonance is there across the whole film, but when you go back and forth and when you see these fantastical stories and kind of what's happening in the real life, it just works really, really well. Yeah,
for sure. And then the character progression and stuff. It's just a good movie, man.
It is.
It's like a modern fairy tale. You don't get modern fairy tales.
For sure. But, and I think that being considered, Tim Burton was the perfect choice to direct it.
Yeah, but he wasn't the first choice, right? Wasn't Spielberg originally going to be doing it?
Spielberg was attached at first, and he wanted Jack
Black.
No, that'd be amazing. Jack Nicholson. He wanted Jack Nicholson to play Edward Bloom.
Older Edward, right? Yeah. Which I could picture.
I think the tone with Spielberg and Jack Nicholson would have been way different.
Jack Nicholson, I feel like you could have slotted into this movie pretty well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not fully with the Southern identity of this film.
Yeah.
I can't see it in this version.
Well, is Albert Finney Southern?
No, but it's all, like I can't see Jack Nicholson playing like an Alabama guy like perfectly, you know? And then you wouldn't be able to use Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. So this movie has your older Albert Finney and Jessica Lange, and then Ewan McGregor and Allison Lohman.
Yeah.
They do look remarkably similar. It's like perfect.
I know Ewan McGregor was cast because he looked like Albert Finney.
Yeah.
And they literally look almost identical. And even when you look up young Albert Finney, he looks a lot like Ewan McGregor.
Allison Lohman looks just like Jessica Lange, too.
Almost identical.
And I haven't seen her in much else, I don't think.
Allison Lohman?
Yeah. I didn't recognize her.
She was in Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
A couple
think
other
I've seen Drag Me
Matchstick
to Hell?
Men, maybe. I think she was in Matchstick Men.
Okay.
So has Nicolas Cage in it. So
okay.
So yeah, I haven't seen her recently in anything, but I enjoyed her when I saw her and stuff. I thought she was a pretty good actress.
She's fine here. She's not given much to do here.
No. Look pretty.
Yeah.
And steal the camera whenever it's on her. So.
When this is a very male-oriented story, though, which maybe is one of the big detriments of the movie. But
I mean, it's a father-son story.
Yeah.
So but it's really focused on that.
Yeah. Like, would this pass the Bechdel test?
I don't know if I ever see I guess the sisters, the named twins talk to each other at one point, but I don't remember what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it will.
Yeah. But
that is not necessarily a test of quality of the film.
No,
it's
just
the quality of the representation.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a good point to bring up. Like we said with last week's Nolan film, sometimes you have a very skilled director and writer and very well-made film that just doesn't actually represent the real world.
Just misses on one on a couple things.
Yeah. So
what I like about this is with Tim Burton, it's really hard to picture Spielberg. And what's nice is Spielberg, instead of doing this, went on to do Catch Me If You Can, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So it was like a win. And then Tim Burton got to come in here and make probably a better version of Big Fish than Spielberg would have made. It's really hard to picture a Spielberg version.
Yeah.
Because this utilizes the filmmaking style of Tim Burton so well.
It really does. It's definitely, for me, the best use of it, like I said. So.
Like where I see all the like Gothic inspired Tim Burton visuals in like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Alice in Wonderland, and I'm very uninterested.
Yeah.
Here, it's not Gothic so much, but it definitely has like some of those inspirations.
It's like Southern Gothic.
Yeah.
So.
And then it has a lot of really good use of color.
Yeah, for sure. Has kind of an like all the old memories almost have like a Technicolor feel to them.
Yeah.
And then there's colorful. the foggy lens, the soft focus, all of that just kind of adds into it. And where it feels like you said, a real day, like a modern day fairy tale. And then you cut back to like current day and it's just normal, static shots and stuff like that work. Because, it's just a guy going back home to his family.
It's just life, man.
So, well, before we get too far here.
This was also Marion Cotillard's U.S. film debut.
Yeah, it was.
So,
yeah, so
cool.
let's speak this cast and crew for a second.
Let's speak it.
It's directed by Tim Burton.
Yep. So that means Helena Bonham Carter's in it.
Of course. Thankfully, Johnny Depp wasn't. He actually played the fish. It was amazing acting.
Yeah.
Inspired. It was written. The screenplay was written by John August, who, if you don't know his other work, I think he got his start with the movie Go. And he runs the website and the podcast Script Notes.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned that podcast to me.
Yeah. And
when I was looking at his Wikipedia, I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, Max probably knows this guy.
He's a very good screenwriting voice out there.
Yeah.
And
this is easily his biggest film.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it was written. This is written based off of a book
novel,
a novel called Big Fish, a novel of mythic proportions by Daniel Wallace. And I believe August was attached to this pretty early on.
Yeah, it was good. Spielberg was going to be working on August's script too.
And August himself felt some resonance from the book because he also dealt with kind of losing his father and never having a full connection. He was also a journalist like the main character. Yeah. And he always, I think the line in the screenplay where he says, I felt like a stranger that knew each other very well with his father. I think that's from like August. That's like one of his big contributions besides, writing it was
the script.
adapt from the adaptation basically. And then when Tim Burton got attached, he also around 2000 lost his father. And so this was a great
personal
vehicle for both of these people basically to kind of cope with the loss of their fathers. And I think it shows. I think the emotions really come through on it.
No, I mean, it's an emotional movie.
Yeah. And so your cast, the movie's kind of rests on Ewan McGregor's shoulders for the fantasy parts, and then Albert Finney and Billy Crudup kind of carry the rest.
Yeah, definitely. Billy Crudup plays Ed Bloom's son, Ewan McGregor's young Ed Bloom, and then Albert Finney's old Ed Bloom. Billy Crudup's like the perfect vanilla guy. I love Billy Crudup, but like he's got that great monotone voice. And every movie like this usually has like that plain character that grounds it or just kind of is the audience sort of listening and learning.
A little bit more.
And Billy Crudup's the guy I want in that role in every movie.
Yeah. No, he's good. Like, he can play Salt of the Earth really well.
Yeah.
He can also play like, kind of. He can do more fantastical roles like Dr. Manhattan, and then also in Almost Famous, he's the rock star.
Yeah.
And even then, he's like a Salt of the Earth rock star.
Yeah.
So
he's like a normal guy rock star.
Exactly. Yeah. And when he tries to act bigger than he is, it's like it's a show.
Yeah.
So in this, he's perfectly cast for it for sure.
Yep.
You also have Jessica Lange.
Yep.
Yeah,
she was good.
Yeah, she was really good. You have Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, and she's fine, but she's so tied to Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when she's playing like the really old witch, and then also the character Jennifer grown up all the way, like older Jennifer. I really like her performances in those.
Yeah, no,
roles.
I mean, she's fine. Yeah.
Allison Lohman, who we mentioned already.
Yep.
You have I think it's Robert Guillaume,
I think.
Guillaume.
Yeah.
He is. Most people would recognize him if they saw him as an "Oh, that guy" kind of actor.
Is he the giant?
No, he is the Doctor. He's kind of he's Rafiki in The Lion King.
Yeah.
He's Benson from the TV show. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he was the
he's
voice
like a voice actor
in the video game Half-Life.
Yeah,
he was the voice of one of the main characters.
He's
I think Dr. Eli Vance.
You would just look up his picture or just watch this movie. You would know him immediately. He's in a ton of stuff.
He really is.
So,
Roy from The Office.
Yeah,
too.
Roy from The
He has
Office.
a minor role, but
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
You mentioned Marion Cotillard already.
Yep.
Danny DeVito, and then a bunch of character actors, just like small little roles here and there. Roy from The Office. He makes me laugh because I don't remember his name ever.
He's so doughy.
And then he's just kind of like, he looks like a guy you want to punch in everything he's ever been in.
Yep.
And then in this, he is the fiance who gets left for the better candidate.
He never did anything wrong.
He started beating up a guy.
Well, but like, you could argue that it was justified when this guy for seemingly months would have been like trying to say, I'm going to marry you even though you're engaged to this guy.
Being
Not
upset.
that she's like property or anything, but
which was Bloom's point.
Yeah.
So.
But I can understand
she
his
should have really talked
anger.
with him at one point,
Like he was just, a guy.
But it's also through the lens of the
That's true.
Everett's
Unreliable
story.
narrator.
So he could have literally just like got angry and stormed out, and then she sent the ring back in real life. But we don't know. We know the fun story of it.
Yeah.
So that's always something to bring up there.
Definitely, it's a big fish story.
It is. So I mean the basic premise of this movie you kind of touched on is we said the basic premise. The son's trying to figure out the truth of his father's stories.
Yeah.
You get there, the father starts telling stories, and you cut between fantasy, between reality, and then kind of the reconciliation of the two of them.
Yeah.
And then it ends with his father passing.
Yeah.
One of the best
beautiful moment.
climaxes of a film I've ever seen. So yeah,
this movie was probably released for a big Oscar push because it had one of those limited releases in December, and then it went wide in January. But it did not do very well either at the Oscars or at the box office. It had a $70 million budget, which surprised me. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
And there's effects and stuff, but it's not a heavy
smart
CGI movie.
Yeah, it's a smart use of
anything.
effects instead.
But
not overkill.
It only made $66.8 million domestically. Worldwide, a little more, but did not make a profit.
Yeah.
And then its opening weekend was December 12th of 2003 in 6 theaters, so it's tough to like judge that weekend. But it made a little under $35,000 per screen, which is pretty good for a limited release. It's not great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And then when it went wide, it was January of 2004. And it made $13.8 million, number 2 behind Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this when it was in theaters, and I remember crying then, enjoying it then, and being like, wow, that was like a really good Tim Burton film.
Yeah, for sure.
And it kind of brought me back into Burton for a little bit, where I was ready for some stuff. And
you're like, I like Sleepy Hollow.
I did enjoy Sleepy Hollow, and he lost me again with the Butcher one.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, I just didn't care for it. So
that's when he went like full Burton. I think.
Full Johnny Depp, Burton, Helena Bonham Carter.
On a bottom farter, more like.
Jesus. It turns a buck though. He does get money out of those, so can't blame a guy for working.
Hey, people like him, so just not us. What else could we have watched?
Okay, well we had a bunch.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, not this early, at least.
Or period. We've forgot the past few.
Forgot. Or intentionally excluded.
Oh, I forgot.
I forgot too. Okay, so first up we had Fury.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't watch it.
This is a David Ayer film that you've seen. I have not seen it.
No.
Had a great cast.
No, not David Ayer. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, it's David Ayer, the guy who did Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I get him and the guy who does the names of the guy who does the Harry Potter movies confused. David.
Oh, yeah, it's similar,
yeah.
but no, I get you.
It's not him.
It's not him. Yeah, his version of Suicide Squad would have probably been better. So.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. Fury, I didn't like that much.
Yeah,
I didn't like
you
as
saying
much
it was
kind
of uneven on the a lot of it.
Yeah, it was like really slow and then really fast, and then the ending's super fucking.
I'm like a
nuts.
David Ayer film that's uneven.
Yeah, Logan Lerman's in it though, and that's America's sweetheart. So
that's true. We're gonna get Lerman back in the spotlight eventually.
I think he's there. Maybe.
I think
he's doing a lot of like art house films right now.
That's
I
good.
think he's going
That's
for that Oscar nom.
Show the talent, you know.
Yeah, hey.
He's got it.
There it is. He's got that perfect haircut too.
We also had Keanu.
Yeah. Interesting
I
that Jordan Peele went from this to Get Out.
Yeah.
It's fine if you like Key and Peele. Like
which I
it's
do.
basically just a long Key and Peele skit.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I
wasn't blown away, and I didn't laugh a ton. But
you enjoy enough of Key and Peele, but you're not like a diehard
I'm like
fan
what are the most watched clips I'll watch?
Yeah, and I think that is fine.
That's how I am with all sketch comedy, though.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We also could have watched Thor.
OG Thor. That would have been topical.
Yeah, we probably should have. No, I'm just kidding. We chose wisely because we both like this movie.
Yeah.
And
this is for us.
This
is for us.
I've been thinking of revisiting Thor, so I might just do it anyway. Just the first one.
I don't know.
But there's no rush, and I don't really have that much motivation. I've just been thinking about it.
Okay.
Sidebar: I did really like all the Jane and him breaking up jokes in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Where he was like, it was just mutual.
Yeah.
Like all this like breakup stuff to see a god saying those kind of
Deal
things.
with that.
Yeah, about just like a normal human.
Yeah.
Very funny.
And it's funny since she like left the franchise kind of
yeah.
mad and stuff.
Yeah.
It was mutual.
We also could have watched The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, I don't feel like we're in the market, but
I actually saw this in theaters as a joke because a bunch of my friends were like, let's go see Sisterhood. You know what, man? It's actually pretty good.
It has what's her name from Gilmore Girls, right?
It has Alexis Bledel. It has Blake Lively.
I always like her.
What is her name? America Ferrera, maybe.
Oh.
And then the girl who's married to Tobias Funke in real life, Amber Tamplin.
Okay.
They're all in it. It's actually
That's the Sisterhood.
That's the Sisterhood. It's a pretty good movie. It's like a girls coming of age film, kind of, with an ensemble cast, and they actually do treat each ensemble pretty evenly.
Right on.
A little over emotional, but it's actually well acted and for the most part well done. I did not think I would leave the theater being like, that was a pretty good movie, and I actually did.
There you go.
It's not anything I haven't revisited.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, I've never revisited it. If it was on HBO or on TV, I probably would watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way. But it's good.
Right on.
We also have the 2003 Peter Pan film.
Was that the one with Jason Isaacs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, where
we talked about that when we watched Pan and Hook and.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was underwhelmed with it when I saw it. It was during the height of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and I feel like they really should have delivered a lot more than what it delivered. But there were some. I mean, it was a cool cast.
What's the Lord of the Rings tie to it?
Well, just like it was 2003. That's all I'm saying. Like it's during the height of it. Where it's like there's Harry Potter, there's Lord of the Rings, there's fantasy is back. Like fantasy is in theaters. People are making money off of it. I feel like Peter Pan should have been a stronger push. But I think
this wasn't like a major studio film though, was it?
I don't remember, but I mean it had a lot of star power in it. I mean Jason Isaacs at the time was pretty big from Harry Potter and you know, people were into fantasy is what I'm saying. Like it could have been and it was a Christmas release, Christmas Day release.
Gotcha.
So release week, Christmas week.
I'm not all that interested in watching a Peter Pan movie at this point in my life. Like Pan really sucked a lot more than I wanted it to.
Yeah,
I wanted it to just suck a little.
I don't think it's worth like visiting this film now. Yeah, but in 2003, like I said, it had there was clout for the genre
going for it.
Yeah,
got decent enough reviews.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's just like compared to Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, it just was okay.
Yeah.
So, maybe one day I'll rewatch it, but I have no urge to. If I was just going to, Thor. it would have been during our Hook Pan episode.
Our Hook Pan.
Yeah. So, since I didn't watch it then, I don't think I'll watch it anytime soon.
There you go.
We could have watched Team America.
Yeah, I've never seen this, and I've kind of always meant to.
Yeah.
But I wonder how it's aged. I mean, when did it come out? 2004 or something?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah. But I like Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah, I mean,
think they do good stuff.
South Park's funny. They've done other stuff that's good.
Yeah.
I saw it back in the day. I thought it was moderately funny. Everyone I was with thought it was way funnier than me.
Yeah.
I was like the good jokes are good. They make fun of like Bush and Kim Jong-il, America, patriotism, and also like how stupid all of this like false stuff around it is.
And that's why I wonder if it will have aged very well.
Yeah.
Because we're very removed from that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like how far out we've come from that era, even though some things are crazy right now and some things are weird, it's not the same kind of crazy and weird. Everything's different.
Yeah.
So it might not hold up as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But it is like funny to see a major release like shitty puppet movie.
Yeah, and I know that's part of the humor of it all.
Yeah.
But.
And I'm sure some of it's just straight up offensive and some of it's funny but offensive, and then some of it's just funny.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in forever. I have no desire to really revisit it myself, but it would be a wonder to check it out and see if it's still funny. Huh. One I know that you have no interest in revisiting.
No.
Cloverfield.
Yep.
I've thought about rewatching it. I think it's funny that T.J. Miller's in this movie.
Yeah.
T.J. Miller and Lizzie Kaplan probably did the best out of this, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So, but I guess...
I have literally no thoughts.
Well, let's move to something more up your alley than Ice Age.
Yeah, I want to say my, 10th birthday party or something, I went and saw Ice Age.
That's funny.
I think Ice Age, I feel like it was incredibly short. I don't remember if that's true, but I feel like I remember thinking it was really short.
Some of those kids' movies sometimes are genuinely super short.
No, it's an hour 45.
Maybe you're looking for, like a 2-hour Ice Age.
Yeah, when I was 10, I was like, come on.
Actually, no, yeah. Hour 20.
Yeah, so that's 80 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty short.
It is.
So maybe
I've never seen a single Ice Age film.
It's got a franchise, so it's got some.
Yeah. Is it DreamWorks?
Sure. I don't know. From the company that I don't know. I don't know who it is. That's fine. I do like Ray Romano's voice. He's got a good whine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's good.
So I respect that.
I didn't even remember he was in it until just now. I was like, who's in that? You were like, Ray Romano. Recap, guys. I just recapped 10 seconds ago.
Willem Dafoe was in it? I don't know.
Does he play the tiger?
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
Move on.
The Mask.
Yeah, I never saw The Mask.
This is the Jim Carrey vehicle, not the Eric Stoltz one.
Is that which one was the Eric Stoltz one?
Oh, it's a Cher movie about a guy.
Oh yeah, you showed me this one.
Yeah, so it's this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is the Jim Carrey movie. If people didn't know him from Ace Ventura at this time period, The Mask really brought him out there. And then Dumb and Dumber was kind of his home run.
Yeah.
But
stuck him in the A-list.
There's some things about The Mask that I still enjoy. I haven't watched it fully in years. Cameron Diaz is very attractive in this movie. Yeah. It's insanely attractive, I would say. But no, I mean, there's a lot of funny jokes that I missed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dumb, weird, small movie.
I feel like this kind of movie wouldn't be made today for some reason.
No, I don't think this or Ace Ventura could even get out of the studio lot these days. But it is nice about the 90s when you see movies like this again, where they're just kind of small, actually pretty good comedy vehicles.
Sure.
It's more of a dark comedy for sure. There's a lot of and I mean he never did
physical humor to it.
He didn't do straight family films ever. Jim Carrey when he first was coming out. I guess because Dumb and Dumber is just pretty satirical and dumb. Nothing family about it. And Ace Ventura is definitely not family. It's a gross out comedy. Yeah. And this one's a black.
I guess you're right. I guess he didn't really do.
So
he didn't have a Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm trying to think if he probably maybe has done something since then. He's done more sentimental.
Yes Man, maybe.
Yeah, and then that might be more up that alley. Bruce Almighty, maybe.
Yeah, Bruce Almighty's a family.
Yeah, movie, and Truman Show is just a good movie. There's comedic moments, but it's not a comedy. I'd say that's his best movie. So I definitely
or Eternal Sunshine's better.
Yeah, no, that's his best film for sure. Yeah. But Truman Show is not too far behind.
It's great.
It's pretty far behind compared to Eternal, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, that's Jim Carrey. Probably our strongest contender on this list as far as quality of film was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Where
art thou?
Art thou? Thank you.
Where art there?
Oh Brother, rare.
I love the soundtrack, but I don't think I've actually seen the full movie in one sitting. I've probably seen the full movie over like the 3 times I've seen 2/3 of it, but
Yeah.
I'd like to watch it all again. Like in
What's
one.
cool about Oh Brother is that it is it's a Southern tale.
Yeah.
You know, it's set back in the day.
Yep.
It's the Coen brothers, which is cool.
Yep.
But it's kind of. God, I wish I had video of that. It is when you get right down to it, it's a grand quest.
Yeah.
It's like
a
the
hero's
Odyssey.
journey.
Yeah. It's the hero's journey, exactly. And what's funny is that's almost like Big Fish. There's a lot in the fantasy stories that are also a hero's journey, Southern Gothic, like old setting. I'm kind of mixing of time periods in there too.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't Oh Brother one of the first movies to use like huge color grading the way it did?
Yeah, digital color grading and
Yeah.
editing and all that. It was one of the first, and I think they used Final Cut Pro for a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it was one of the first like feature films I think that did it.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge thing afterwards they talked about with it.
Because they like mute all the colors and stuff that are in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. There's a lot of cool little documentaries about it at the time. I remember. That's right when I was getting into editing myself. So it taught me a lot.
I've always found I enjoy the Coen brothers dramas more than their comedies.
Yeah.
So, like No Country for Old Men I love. Fargo has its comedic moments, but
I do like when they balance comedy in their dramas, but their straight dramas are usually pretty solid. So
like Hail Caesar is pretty much an out and out comedy. I didn't love it.
The trailers didn't grab me. There look like there's funny moments.
Yeah,
but
there's funny moments, but the whole film is kind of a flop.
Yeah.
But what are they doing these days? I mean, Hail Caesar's came out beginning of 2016.
Yeah, I haven't.
They wrote that Suburbicon,
which apparently is not very good.
Yeah, and Clooney directed it. Looks like they're working on a TV miniseries
called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Is it coming to Netflix? I feel like maybe I heard that once. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like barely a sentence.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I heard that once.
It's like a me sentence there.
Yeah.
But back to Big Fish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to go into this plot because
I don't want to go like too deep.
It would ruin the emotions of the film. But let's talk about. Is there anything you didn't like about the film this time around?
The first couple times I saw it, it definitely like the ending hit me really hard, and this time it didn't as much. Maybe it's just because like I've seen it and I know what's going on, and I have other stuff going on. But there's nothing I really strongly dislike.
Yeah.
I wish that Marion Cotillard's character was more of a character, you know, because then you could have some like fatherhood. Like she's pregnant, and then Will could have some stuff with his dad, and then he's about to be a dad, so there could have been some.
Yeah, that could have been explored more.
They
kind of.
There,
her and Jessica Lange's character kind of work as like the healing bridge between them.
Yeah.
And that works for the story, but it isn't that compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could have been a little more active in
They're both like such talented actresses too, so it's kind of a
shame.
Cool.
Well, Marion Cotillard, this is one of her earliest works, so it's kind of cool to go back and see it. Like in Catch Me If You Can, I think it's Amy Adams' first role or her first big role.
Yeah,
first it's like cool to see film, like role, a young version of these actresses when they're in very small roles because they're not they're A-listers that they are now. It's kind of cool to see it, but. No, I mean, I don't know. I remembered being grossed out by parts of this movie before, but watching it again, there wasn't anything that grossed me out.
I think the grossest thing was like when Edward's daydreaming while cleaning the elephant's pen. An elephant straight up poops.
That was real. Yeah.
That was real. They did not plan it, but they loved it so much they kept it in there. Yeah. But I didn't know that was happening because I haven't seen this in about a year or two.
Yeah.
And my eyes just naturally focused on the elephant, and then it pooped, and I saw the full thing, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot more gross than I was expecting it already to be. Yeah. So there was that.
I'm trying to remember the specifics now, but it might have been, was it Stand By Me had that scene with the pie eating contest? There's another movie that had this scene. It was a flashback to a pie eating contest. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
And it's filmed in like the exact same way as the Big Fish like story parts are. And I remember
we watched that together, didn't we?
I thought we did, but
so I don't think
it was Stand By Me.
A film we reviewed because I remember what you're describing sounds 100% to me like something we've already seen. We'll have to look into it.
Yeah, but I remember that, and that scene's disgusting, and whatever it's in, I forget. But and it's filmed in such a similar way that
it's probably like Master of Disguise or something.
No, it's like in a good movie. I remember. I gotta look it up.
While you're looking it up, I'll say one thing that kind of didn't work for me this time around is there is some repetitious filmmaking in about the first half of the film.
It is Stand By Me.
Oh, wow. Where Edward is going on his journeys doing stuff, and some of that is so much similar. It's like a series of him going around that I'm like let's compress some of that is what my brain was thinking when I watched the first half of the film. Like just in that first half, I was like, okay, like I get it, he's traveling.
Yeah.
That could be a little bit tighter, but it wasn't a detriment to the film. It was just like, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And it kind of just made me wonder, even though I know where it's going in my head, I was like, where are you leading with this?
Yeah. There's some points too, and especially in the second half after he marries Sandra and stuff. And then he goes back to the town and is like rebuilding it and everything. It's like, what was he doing with his wife this whole time? He
seems like he lost steam, but that does actually, like, he lost steam in his big journey to get his wife, and get more for her. So he finally did that. So that's why two things to answer what he's doing. He himself, it kind of is his midlife crisis where he still needs a big adventure. Fixing this town is that something he idolized, but what he's doing with his wife is actually he is honestly gone for a long amount of time because that's what his son had said.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be having a selling job, like he's a sales guy, he's a traveling salesman, but then he's also like buying all these parts of the town and stuff, and it's just weird. It's a very weird sequence.
I feel like he basically reached like comfort and wealthiness, and he needs that push still because he's a guy who needs those adventures.
And the thing about that, so basically everything you see you have to take with a grain of salt because it could be embellished and stuff like that. Yeah. But that part of the story was told by a different person. Yeah. It was told by one of the townspeople.
Which was interesting because
played by Helena Bonham Carter.
It's a lot more calm in the fantasy elements. Yeah. Like the biggest thing is the giant fixing the house. Yeah. Which, from her describing it, she maybe didn't, all she maybe said was the giant straightened out my house, like fixed it up, fixed the foundations. Yeah. What he sees, this is like the son's vision of it. He's still seeing it in a fantasy element, which is kind of cool because
it's his dad's story.
Yeah, so it's more relaxed. There's less like magic happening, but it's still a giant pushing a house from crooked to straight. Yeah,
and the reason Will goes out there is because he thinks his dad was cheating on his mom, and
which I really enjoyed how they set that up.
Yeah, and then they never like addressed it for the longest time. It was weird. It was like they never answered that question until the end.
Yeah, because she was like, "You might not like the answer."
Yeah,
and it's almost like she understood that he was looking to find the villain in the father, and instead he found that he was legitimately good. Yeah, although easily distracted. Yeah, like his heart stayed true, although his heart maybe was in the adventure as much as it was in his wife. So,
but at this point, it was just weird to me because like every buildup is to meeting Sandra. Yeah, and then what do you do afterward? He goes to war. Okay, there's stories there. Then what? He rebuilds this whole town and is gone all the time. It's just weird. That was the only sequence that I was like, this doesn't seem to fit the rest of the fairy tale.
I think that's
how life is. Yeah, so.
I think it's a strong assessment, and I think it is kind of like I said, it kind of fits with that whole midlife crisis idea where what are you doing? Yeah. Like you've spent years doing this one thing. Yeah. It changes. He's secured the woman. He's caught the fish and got the ring. Yeah. He has a kid. Like it's all this. So what does he do now? Yeah. He has to go out and have another adventure and fix something. Yeah. But it doesn't fit that straight hero's journey narrative.
And it's fine that it doesn't. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, this didn't bother me, but it's interesting. So at the very end, at his father's funeral, all like Danny DeVito comes back. All this cast of characters from the rest of this movie comes back, and they look like Danny DeVito looks like he did in the stories. The giant is a giant.
Yeah,
and then
shorter giant, but he's still.
Well, I didn't notice him being a lot shorter. So the thing I was going to mention was in the stories, like the sisters, were they Japanese?
They were connected twins.
Yeah, they were conjoined twins that were dancers that he met when he was dropping in the Pacific, and they're at the funeral, but they're separate people. They're just twin sisters at that point. I thought the giant was still the same size. I didn't notice him being...
the reason you thought that, honestly, and this is not a joke. Yeah. This is 100% serious. He was standing with his arm around Danny DeVito, who might be the shortest man with a active Hollywood career who isn't like, somebody who's like born as a smaller person. He's just, short. Yeah. So I think that skews it. But if you catch him...
They made a point of showing that the twins were separate. Yeah. And I didn't notice the same thing with the giant. But that could have been a perspective.
In the house fixing scene, when they zoom out after the house is done, Jennifer and Edward are standing next to the giant. And I think Edward's shoulders come up to his waist. Yeah. This time around, when the giant gets out, he's like maybe 2 feet taller than everyone else. Okay. So they don't focus on it. You're right about that. They don't focus on it, but you can catch it in a couple couple little scenes here and there.
And then Danny
group
DeVito's
scenes.
character's a werewolf.
Yeah.
And there's not really a way to show, okay, he actually wasn't a werewolf. But it seemed like what they were going to do is be like, okay, all these stories were embellished, but that's okay. Or be like, oh, no, he wasn't lying all this time. These are... And then, so with the conjoined twins thing, they established he was embellishing, but then they didn't really establish that with the other characters.
No,
that was the only thing that
it's
I was
kind of
like,
hard to
weird.
show he's not a werewolf.
Yeah. No,
But,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
if they wanted to show he was a werewolf, he could have, like, scratched behind his ear or something weird. But
or maybe he had, like, a dog with him or something.
Yeah.
You could have done very small things, but it wouldn't have been as big as, like,
plus, how do you...
a shorter
like,
giant.
Okay, so with the twins, they're conjoined. That's who you embellished that. The giant. How do you, like... What could have been the real situation with the werewolf that he's embellishing like that? He just had a pet dog?
Or maybe like he would go wild and get drunk and like
feral.
I mean, it could be something like that. Like he was an alcoholic who would go feral in quotations. No, it's too hard to show.
It just it was a little odd to me, but it doesn't work to the film's detriment.
He is the other thing that he says at the time is like most things that are monstrous or scary. Just take some understanding. So it could just be that like the whole time he was kind of played as a monster, taking advantage of people. And through Edward's friendship, it brought him out of it. But I mean, you can't even show that either. So it's kind of
a little heady.
Point.
But no, it was good. I mean, it's a good movie. Those are just the little things that made me be like, I wonder what's going on here.
So this movie has always rung very personally for me, just because I have a strange relationship with my father. I think most sons at some point have a strange relationship with their father as they grow older. But my father is an embellisher, so this has always kind of rung with me. He's always telling the same damn stories. I've learned to just accept some of his stories as fun things to hear. There is the funniest thing I've ever experienced with it was one time my father was telling a story about my brother to my brother's friends, and I was just hanging out with them, about my brother taking a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and putting it in a VCR to try and feed the VCR because it was hungry. And then my brother's friend was like, isn't that like an old RCA commercial? And sure enough, my dad had just word for word taken an RCA commercial as his own story. And he would tell that story for years. So when I heard that, I kind of laughed. But I was just like, you know what? Let him. He's probably still telling the story. I really don't care. It's fine. But then the story got even more deep for me of this film when my wife's grandfather, who I knew for about a decade. Obviously, she knew her whole life. His name is Edward. He goes by Eddie for short. He's from Alabama. He served in the military and has outlandish stories from Korea and Vietnam. My father-in-law is very much like reserved, more even-tempered, and had a lot of issues with some of his father's outlandish ways sometimes. But he passed a couple years ago, my wife's grandfather, and this movie's become more endearing to me.
Max.
because it kind of resonates more. And then I just had somebody in my family pass recently, my grandmother, so it kind of hit me an extra punch, the last final scenes here. But
I always like it when these comedies can bring that like emotional side to it, you know, or touch on some serious topics.
There's a couple beats in here that work emotionally really well for me. The bathtub scene with Jessica Lange's very strong. When he returns from the war and comes through the sheets, that's very much set up.
There's a lot of very beautiful visuals with the sentiments that go together.
And I would compare this film and the sentimentality of it to Forrest Gump, where there's very sentimental scenes. This one works a lot better for me personally. But a lot of the scenes are just as sentimental and in a good way for me.
Now that you mention it, the stories are very similar in that Forrest Gump is kind of going from character and situation to character, like all these different ones, and then it like doesn't really all
episodes.
Almost, so like his Vietnam War and his college days and stuff, and then there's a character named Jenny, and both of them that kind of ties throughout his whole life.
And while you have, in Forrest Gump, obviously he has some mental deficiencies, but he's just a simple Southern man. This is a embellishing Southern man. Yeah. So there is some thematic ties to it.
That's kind of a funny comparison.
Parallel, but no, for me, Big Fish works a lot better. But although there are some...
I like both the movies, but they work on different levels.
What Forrest Gump does differently is instead of telling fantasy... it tells the story of reality in a fantastic method. So by interjecting him into every single moment of history, it tells a different story completely, but it kind of has the same sentimental value.
Yeah, it does. It hits a different type of sentimentality, but it it is just as sentimental.
Yeah, and this one's more interjecting fantasy into real life and history. So,
did you notice baby Miley Cyrus in this movie?
I did, and I was like, "Is that Miley
Yeah.
Cyrus?" And
I didn't know it, and then I was like reading trivia and stuff. And I was like, Miley Cyrus. And I was like, what the hell? She plays one of like at the very beginning of the movie. Edward Bloom goes to see this witch with some of his friends, and she's like the girl in their friend group.
Yeah, which I was hoping she'd make an appearance again at some point, but it was fine.
Yeah. One thing I do really love about the movie is the music is really good.
Yeah, it's Elfman, right?
Danny Elfman, yep. He was nominated for Best Original Score. That was the only Oscar nom it got. It lost to Return of the King, just like everything did that year. You know what's funny? I was reading the Oscars winners and nominees from that year, and Return of the King went, like 13 for 13 or whatever. But I really thought Sean Astin should have been at least nominated for supporting actor, and he wasn't. That bugs me because I thought it was really good.
What about Two Towers? Did you get any nominations?
I didn't look there. I just looked at the year that Big Fish was in it. And then Big Fish was nominated for 4 Golden Globes, including the Best Picture, Comedy, or Musical, but it lost to Lost in Translation, which I've actually never seen.
That's fair. That's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, the music's really good too. It fits very well.
Yeah, it does.
Your music, you want it to add. You either don't want to notice it or you want it to add to like the emotional moments, and it does add to the
and it's pretty
moments.
reserved too. Yeah. It's not a full-on Elfman, Tim Burton type of thing.
It's very whimsical when it needs to be.
Yeah. It kicks it in, and it doesn't sound like every other Elfman Burton project. Yeah. It sounds unique and good. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's just
end it with this. What's your favorite scene from this movie?
That's tough. What about you? You go first.
I really like the circus scene where he sees Sandra for the first time, and like there's someone tossed a thing of popcorn over, and time freezes, and he's walking through, and he's like knocking the popcorn out of the way. And the music's really good in that scene. I thought it was a really beautiful moment.
I was gonna say I was torn between the circus. Honestly, that whole section from the circus through when he returns from the war, there's a lot of good little moments in there, and those probably work best for me.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoy the Steve Buscemi bank robbery.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just gives him a gun, and the whole time he's like, "I'm so sorry," and she's like, "I'm not crying because of this. I'm crying because we're out of money."
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. Yeah. But I think emotionally, from the stories, that works best for me. But I mean, honestly, if I had to give one thing, my favorite part of the whole movie is really when Will starts telling the story to his dad. Yeah. So
that I was gonna say that too in the hospital. Yeah. That was really good.
Yeah. So I just like that.
The whole movie's great.
That he's figuring out how to tell a story himself. He hasn't done it in this fantastic method.
Yeah, and then he has to like embrace it, and he brings back all the old elements. It's
cool. And just how Edward's like, that's it. Like he's encouraging him, and that's what he needed. So, that's good.
That's good stuff. It's a good movie. I recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime at the least. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you haven't seen it in a while, check it out.
Yeah, it's a good.
If you have seen it recently, watch it again. So, Max, where can the good people find us?
Well, you can find us performing acts at the circus.
I'm the bearded lady.
And I put my head inside of lions. Or you could just go to thecriticalbreakdown.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at BreakdownCast.
Yep.
You can find me standing outside your window in a field full of daffodils.
I have found that before.
Or you can find me on Twitter at Max Rivera Film.
You can find me catching giant catfish with my wedding ring. Or you can find me on Instagram at breakdown_Scott. Jason Brown did our music.
Josh Rivera did our artwork.
And Wally is the podcast.
He's just the whole podcast.
It's just the podcast.
That's the way he tells it.
Yeah, that's how. Next week on The Critical Breakdown.
We're going to earn some Olympic medals when we watch Munich, rated 78 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Get your passports ready.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Jamaica's got a bobsled team.